Hey everyone, this is Ellie Mae with Swift Crate Customs, and today I wanted to share with you how I created these custom shoebox labels. I created these for the shoebox that is in the Siser Leonardo Design Studio software library, and here's a photo of my finished project. Now these are customized shoebox labels, and you could design and you could create your own simply by using some rectangles and creating it from scratch. I personally used a template. I grabbed the template from Creative Fabrica and then followed the instructions. Here is what you get when you open that file after it is unzipped and extracted, and it gave me instructions on how to open this in Canva, which is exactly what I did. So I'm going to show you a glimpse of that. Here is when I opened it in Canva, and then I customized it for how I wanted it. Now, when you are saving from Canva or any other program that you are saving an image from, you want to make sure that when you go to download it, this is the default that it downloads at. That is 72 DPI. This is the default for Canva. So you want to make sure that you increase that so it is at the max. That's going to be your 300 DPI resolution. So then I downloaded this file to my computer, and I open it in the Siser Leonardo Design Studio software. I'm going to go up to File, Open, and here is you can see I've created a couple different things with it so far. Here is the original file that I downloaded. I'm going to open that up, and in this case, I want to choose background. I will show at the end of the video what happens when you choose it as a print and cut for this particular file. It is going to depend on how the file was created, on whether it would work as a print and cut or not. The main thing about opening files is it always starts with the file resolution and how that file was created. So let's go ahead and open this as a background image. I'm selecting it at 300 DPI. And I'm going to choose next. So this opens larger than my design mat. I'm just going to scale this down, and I'll show you my trick for getting it to the size that I need for my particular shoebox. I will link in the description below for additional information on creating the shoebox that I have a couple videos out there on it. I'm going to open up this artboard panel on the right side. It defaults to A4 size paper, so I need to change that to my US letter size. And then if I toggle the page marks, I can get those to be the maximum. That's what I usually print at. So here I have my original design that I've scaled it down. Once it's scaled down within those registration marks, you can see the full design at the full color. Now, if you are using this on like a full large shoebox, then you can just scale it to the size that you want it to be. So I'm going to show you how I determine the size. I'm going to go over here to my working file for this shoebox design that I created. And you can see that I have these labels on top. So I have my shoebox design in the background here. This is like my working file, my design file. This is how I work. And I'm using this to size it to the particular size that I need. So I have locked this layer right here. This is the shoebox layer that is selected. So I locked that layer so it would stay in place, and I could, from my original file, I copied, and then I pasted my design onto this and I rotated it. I wanted a label on the side here. And then my original plan was to have a label on the front. My label turned out to be just a little bit too big for the front when the flap was down. And that's completely on me. I didn't actually test it before I did the final videos. But I just kind of reorganized what my thought process was, and I used it on the back side of the shoebox. I still was able to use the file that I created, but I brought this in, and then I could scale it and place it onto my shoebox that I was cutting. So I had the size of the shoebox that I was actually cutting, and then I was able to just kind of gauge the distance or the size that I needed. So that's how I work when I am going through the design process. Every user is going to come up with something different. You could just print it out and test it and see what works, but I like to save ink, so I try to resize it onto the actual project. So I'm going to use the example as a pretty much a full size sheet. If I go currently, this is opened as a background image. So if I go up here to send design, I can click on send, but because I have no cut lines associated with this file, it is blank. There is nothing that the software views that is going to be cut. In the layers panel, I use this layers panel a lot. So currently I do have my shoebox design, and if I click here, right now it's defaulted to cut. There's nothing to cut because there are no cut lines. I need to build those cut lines, and in this case, it is a very simple rectangle that I want. So I'm going to come down here to the toolbar. I'm going to click on the square, draw square tool, and I'm simply going to left click and draw a rectangle around the size that I want. Future Ellie Mae popping in here to say if your square or shape is filled with color when you draw it, make sure to click on the properties panel in the color picker and then choose stroke. I noticed that in the video because I was in the software playing around with it when I recorded the video. Mine was already set to stroke, but the default is fill. So now it labels it I have a square. If you need to, you can zoom in here and you can see where that square is. I need to just adjust it a little bit so it's on my black edges and I won't have white edges. And then I have my first cut line. Now I still need to designate it as a cut. If I do not, and I click on send, nothing shows up on the screen because I have not designated that square as a cut line. So if I come in here and I choose the blue cut tool, now when I go, it should show up. And I have my printed artwork, and then I have the first cut line that I created. So I'm going to go back to my design. I have one cut line created. Now that I have it designated as a cut, I'm going to zoom in here so we can see this a little bit easier. Since I have this already designated as a cut, it's easier for me to just select that, Control C, Control V. Now I have a second copy. Since all of my design is the same exact, I have this second copy. I'm going to, with it selected, just use my arrow keys. That's going to jump it down, and I can hold my shift key down and then use my arrow keys to adjust that a little bit more definitely in smaller increments. So another thing that you can do for your arrow keys movement, if you want to make it even smaller, come up to File, Preferences, choose All Preferences, and then this keyboard nudge, you can adjust your amount that a single click of your arrow key moves a design. I'm just going to leave that for now. Maybe someday I'll decide on what works for me. So now I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to repeat the same process for the next two. So I can just Control C, Control V, and this is the process that I used. I'm going to use my arrow keys, bump it down, and align that perfectly. And then same thing, Control C, Control V. It maintains all of the same properties that I have set up as the cut line for my design. And then once I have that, I can click send, and now I have my printed artwork and I have my cut lines. So you can create your own cut lines based on the PNG file that we imported. Now I'm going to come back here back to the design. I want to show you, open a new design tab. If I open this as a PNG file, which is what I originally started to do when I was working through this process, if I open it as a print and cut file at 300 DPI, because of the way the template was created, there is no solid background. Now I tried to mess around with it and was going back and forth with trying to decide if I wanted to create my own. You could definitely create your own, and it would just take some time to create that. But since it has a transparent background here, it's going to trace everything, and that's not what I wanted. That would take a lot more time, and with this text, I will link a video explaining tracing text in the description below, because tracing text, let's just go through here so you can see it. Tracing text is, even at 300 DPI resolution, it's not going to be a clean cut. It's really going to be choppy, and it's not going to see a lot of it. So if I zoom in here and we look at this text, you can see it does not, I even have include holes checked. It does not include the holes. It can't really see it. It's so small that it can't really see it. Let me see how far I can zoom in, how far I can zoom in. So if I zoom in, I noticed over here on the H, it looked a little bit more choppy. But here you can see on the A, it doesn't get inside. So it's not going to trace correctly for me to cut. And actually, if I zoom all the way out, I don't need all those cut lines. I need a simple rectangle. So I can save my time, import it as a background, and then draw a rectangle. So here's a look at the process of sending this sticker sheet. I sent it to print. So let's cancel this. Go back to my original file, send design. I'm actually going to show you, let's go back to my original design. So here is my original design. I was making several of these shoe boxes. So I have 4, that's how many I was making. This was supposed to be on the front. It ended up being on the back side, and I added something different to the front. I pivoted when it didn't work. These are the labels that were sized for the side of the mini shoe box. And then this is going to be a future project that I'm going to do. I wanted to fill up my sticker sheet paper and not waste it. So I created another one that I'm going to make a special box for me because I made one for everybody else. So I clicked on send design. Let's select everything, send design, send. I printed this through my printer with onto sticker paper, and then I sent it to cut. And here is a look at the cut process, and check out the links in the description below for cutting this the entire setup of this mini shoebox design. But you could customize this for whatever you would like to use. Make sure you do your test cuts before you send this to cut. I positioned the tip of the blade in the bottom left L bracket for the registration marks, and then I sent it to cut. It's really super fast when you're on a time lapse for rectangles to be cut. And then once I had the entire sticker sheet, I was putting together the boxes, and here is a little glimpse at putting the stickers onto the box. This box is not glued together yet. It actually is just folded together until I had all the sticker placements on it for the original design. Here's where I realized that my front sticker was too big for the front of the box. That is on my error only. And so I just added it to the back side of the box, but I'm giving you a glimpse at the full completed box here. I just took and added another design to the front lip of that box, and I think it turned out great. Make sure to check out the links in the description below for additional videos on creating this mini shoebox design that's available in the Siser Leonardo Design Studio software. There's a look at all the boxes that I did create for this project, and I fill those with candy and leave them for my family on Valentine's Day. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.